Meeting 6 p.m. Tuesday, August 23rd. I'd like to acknowledge that the press and public were duly notified of the meeting in accordance with the Freedom of Information Act. Join me in standing for the invocation, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Father, we thank you for the day. Thank you for our health. Thank you for this beautiful place that we get to live and work and play in, and help us to be good stewards of what you have in front of us tonight. In your name I pray. Amen. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Han.
Here.
Councilmember Bogosian.
Here.
Councilmember Anderson.
Here.
Councilmember Ward. Councilmember Streetman.
Here.
Councilmember Popson.
Here.
Councilmember Myers.
Here.
Councilmember Pierce.
Here.
Mayor Pounds.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is citizens' comments. I think we have maybe three.
Mr. Santiago signed up first.
Mr. Santiago, name, address if you want, and then take it away. Floor is yours.
Tony Santiago, I live at 60 Ocean Point. I've been here since 1999. I'm a year-round resident. What I'm calling and speaking about here today, I did send out a preview of this to all of the councilmen and the mayors about this, because 3 minutes is a little short for what we're going to do, but I'll do the best I can. I represent a group of citizens, broad and diverse. They're year-rounders, they're second homeowners that don't rent, they're second homeowners that do rent, and there's investors. They live inside the gates and outside the gates. There's one common issue we have, and that is a 47-year-old PRD document that rules the Wild Dunes Resort structure. And unfortunately, it was a zoning application. It was approved 47 years ago at a time when there were different issues regarding environment, safety, and population density issues. You're going to have some issues that are going to come up statistically here. I want to make sure you grasp currently what the actual population is in the resort commercially, and what it could be under this PRD if we do not rezone it. So there are 297 hotel rooms right now in that resort. Per Rob Walker at the March 2022 Wild Dunes Community Association, he answered my question. And that was, do you plan on developing further? Since they currently have in a PRD 53 more hotel rooms and 330 potential condominiums that can be short-term rental turnarounds. He did respond, which I did link to a YouTube video on that he responded, yes, they are both being considered in two locations I pointed out. One is at the Wild Dunes Links Clubhouse, which they plan to potentially move that clubhouse across the street and build a 5-story condo unit there. The second is over where the Harbor Course sign is, where there's the lap pool, where Woody's is, by the tennis courts. That is another location for a boutique hotel and a potential condo. He confirmed they are looking at both those locations right now. The PRD was drafted, and it is one of the worst legal documents I've ever seen. It is poorly written. It was done on a typewriter. You can barely make out the lines on the sub-districts, but it basically gives them the ability to do this. And if they put the permits in and we approve it, then you will more than double the traffic to the very end of the island that cannot handle it. Right now, there was 112 cars outside the gate on Palm Boulevard parked because they couldn't park inside the gate. And that's after they took down 5 tennis courts and graveled them over. The document was so poorly written that even Doug could not challenge the Sweetgrass Inn Hotel at the time for the lack of parking, which obviously was the case because of the way it's written. We're asking you to review rewriting that zoning application and amend it so that we stop any further development, so that they cannot develop on those properties as we see now because of the changes in 47 years of where we are. This is not the same place it was back then. Every bit of traffic through the connector down that way will come through that resort.
Mr. Santiago, that's
Yes.
3 minutes. If you could wrap that up, please.
Sure.
Thank you.
So that is basically what we're asking the resort to do. Ross Appel, the attorney, has confirmed, I sent the memos, that the council has the legal right to, it's simply a zoning application. Ross is the leading land and zoning attorney here in the area. He's also on the board of the city of Charleston. He's a board member himself, and they're redoing their zoning ordinances that are out of date. So it's precedent's been set. Other cities are doing it. I'm asking you to consider it. There's additional information on the owners at Dart Interest and that bought the property in 2018. You should look at that. They are not what you think they are. You can go do your own due diligence. It's public information. Kenneth Dart is there. Kenneth Dart would not stand and do what we just did because he gave his US citizenship away to reduce his taxes in the early 90s.
Mr. Santiago,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Klaus,
I'm Al Klaus. This is my wife Roxy. We reside at 3 Grand Pavilion. I represent 3 other homeowners, full-time residents. Williamson's at 1657th Avenue, Greiman's 1457th Avenue, and Mountain Holdings at 1157th Avenue. This is in regards to the noise ordinance. And you talk about poorly written. This is another one. But anyway, we started our issues with the situation with Mr. Pounds and Mr. Hahn. We started on February 23rd. We broached the noise issues with them. We wanted to make sure the city had jurisdiction regarding the Sweetgrass Inn and the violations that they are committing. We went to the public safety meeting on April the 13th. We handed out a layout of the Sweetgrass Inn and how it relates to the homeowners I just mentioned. I about tripped over that cord too, passing out those handouts. We also did a little science lesson regarding how when sound travels over water, it is amplified, it isn't absorbed. And afterwards, I asked the Public Safety Committee, what can you do for us? Can you start enforcing these laws? And Mrs. Anderson stated, quote, "We will get back to you," unquote. I did a 416 email, a 426 email, a 531 email, a 66 email. Mrs. Anderson, I haven't heard back from anybody yet. And that was clear back on 413. So obviously we're frustrated. We have a noise ordinance 9-2-5. The Sweetgrass Inn is violating Section B, nighttime play with late disturbances. We've been told that there is an off-duty IOP police officer on duty during these events. Maybe they are, maybe they're not. I do not know. The big violation right now seems to be the daytime play. They have 2 through 5 o'clock concerts in the pool area daily. I can tell you I've got 59 documented decibel readings via video for proof of date, proof of time. And the decibel levels are, you know, in the 65, 70, 75 area. The reason I say that the part of the frustration is our property is 60 feet from the Sweetgrass Inn property. The Williamsons, their property is 30 feet from the Sweetgrass Inn. And well, okay. I want this enforced. You are not enforcing this. These number C, this needs to be enforced. We can hear the music inside our house. We can hear it. My wife went to have a cup of coffee on the screen and porch the other day at 8:15. There's the music. It's blaring. Okay. You wouldn't, none of you would put up with this, not a one of you. And those people I just mentioned, we're beside ourselves. Okay. We need this enforced. And I contend, before you kick me out of here, that we are reasonable people of ordinary sensibilities. Thank you.
Hey, good evening. My name is Paul Coleman. I am a resident at 310 Palm. And I am a local pastor of Deepwater Church, but I'm actually not speaking on the church's behalf today. I'm here to give a simple request. As a cross-country coach of my daughter's team at Coastal Christian Prep, I'd like to seek permission from the city council to have a race on Wednesday, September 28th at 4 p.m. beginning at 3rd Avenue. And the runners will gather in the parking lot at St. Mark's Lutheran Church. And after, kind of the opening ceremonies and such, we'll go down to the beach and run a down and back towards the pier and do 5K down and back. And it'll take about 30 minutes. So, man, I really wish I had something more exciting to talk about. Maybe I can ask in my time, any thoughts about painting tiger paws, orange tiger paws on the street with college football starting next week or anything like that. Anyway, so while I have this time, I just want to say I appreciate you as a local servant here on the island. I appreciate your hard work. So thank you for all you do. And I'll leave it to y'all's vote a little bit later tonight. Thanks, y'all.
Thank you, Pastor. Oh, thank you. Next, Janice, we have a couple of new city employees would like to do an introduction of.
Mayor,
Janice
City-
Ladd, our HR manager, sorry.
Thank you, Mayor and City Council, for allowing me to introduce you to two of our new staff members. Katie Madden, can you join me up here, please? Sure. Katie is joining our communication specialist team over at the police department. Katie grew up in the Mount Pleasant, Charleston area. And she attended the Southern New Hampshire University, a little bit up in my neck of woods, and is pursuing a dream to become a forensic analysis. In her spare time, Katie helped her dad build his race car and they play video games. So who wins? You do, okay. Katie's excited about being part of the IOP team and can't wait to help the community in any way she can. Katie Madden. Braxton, can you join me? Braxton Comer. He is our new addition to the fire department. Braxton grew up in Camden, South Carolina. He also comes from as a volunteer firefighter from Goose Creek. He attended Hampden Sydney College in Virginia, where he began his fire career. In his current spare time, he is a student pilot pursuing his instrumental rating. And I don't know what that means.
That allows us to go find rain weather, cloudy weather, and anything else.
Oh, okay. He is also attending Trident Tech for his EMT and paramedic program. Braxton, welcome. Thank you.
Thank you and welcome to both of you. Glad to have you. Next item 4, approval of previous meetings minutes. We've got city council regular meeting on July 26th, our special council meeting on August 2nd, and our city council workshop on August 9th. Is there a motion to approve? So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Any edits or changes? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Next up is old business. Item A is discussion of public listening sessions to receive input from residents regarding proposed regulations of short-term rentals. We've seen some email traffic. Those are set for, and it's on the city website for signups. It's September 14th, September 21st, and September 28th at 5 p.m. at the rec center. Format will be Rick Bradley, who facilitated the council retreat in January, will actually be conducting those sessions for us as well. He's an IOP resident. So we'll have a kind of a level setting presentation, maybe 10 or 15 minutes worth on where the planning commission has been, what's happened to date, kind of current short-term regulation ordinances, as well as the financial impact of short-term rentals that we'll have. And then there'll be some breakout sessions that Rick will facilitate. So council, you have the outline, really high level outline. If you have feedback, I'll take that offline at some point, but those sessions are set. Unless there are questions or comments you'd like to take on right now, Rusty?
Yeah, just how many have we had sign up so far? Do we have an idea, Desiree?
Total 32.
32.
Majority of them, 23 for September 14th, the first one, and then
pretty much even, they're different. between the 21st and 28th.
Okay.
So we pushed out through social media, Island Eye, city website. I'm trying to think where else we've had it, but we may just do an additional push.
We included an ad, one-page ad, and then I, so expecting that after that comes out, that more time.
I would encourage we continue to push it out in social media, particularly Facebook, the community pages or whatever, plus the Isle of Palms city website to get it out there.
John?
Yeah, I just know Mayor and I had a conversation about it briefly on the phone. I do owe you some comments back. My only suggestion at this point is that we do more listening and talking, obviously. And so I'll have some comments that I can get back to you on, some thoughts on the format.
Yeah, and John, when Desiree and I met with Rick Bradley, I guess week and a half or 2 weeks ago, and talking through kind of a level set presentation just to get people grounded, and to that exact point, that needs to be really crisp and get to breakout sessions fast.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you. Item B is consideration of city-sponsored event status for Operation Heal Our Heroes 5K Run and Walk on October 9th, 2022. You saw this presentation in our workshop earlier this month, so if there's a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any additional questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? This next item, we also had in our city council workshop earlier this month, consideration of proposed fiscal 23 budget for CARTA. There's a motion to approve that.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Questions or comments on that?
One comment, Mr. Mayor, that was made by Daniel. Was Daniel the one making the
Daniel Brock.
presentation? And a question that Councilman Hahn asked of him, and that was in regards to if the reversible lane was reversed, would that make a difference in ridership, in his opinion? And he strongly felt that it would. So I would hope that as we hopefully approve this budget here, that we also look forward to that and see if there are things that we can continue to lobby for that would increase the ridership for next year.
Other questions, folks? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? New business, consideration of request from Coastal Christian Prep for city-sponsored event status for school cross-country beach race on September 28th, 2022. This to Pastor Coleman's comment, there's no resources needed, very small, low-impact event. No road closures. Our staff has had conversations and reviewed it. Again, it'll be about 50 students on the beach in the afternoon, about 4 p.m. The only reason this gets to a city-sponsored status for this and the next item that we have is there's a fundraising aspect to it. So that needs to have a city stamp on it, if you will. So again, staff has looked at this and is recommending approval. So if there is a motion,
Motion to approve.
Second.
questions or yes, Jen?
Is this event open to anyone who wants to participate?
I think it's just students, isn't it, on this one?
It would just be the students.
So it's just the private schools that are involved in this?
Just this one.
One private school? Okay, and what's our history with that? I'm not familiar with what we've done in the past.
I don't think we have had anything. I think this is a new request for us.
What about other organizations coming to us wanting to use the beach for their event?
They would go through the same
Yeah.
process. They would submit a proposal and it would go to you all for approval.
And we have approved those in the past.
We have not approved this event in the past, but council has approved other events on the city-sponsored events.
That are private groups.
Mhm.
Okay, that's what I wanted to know. Thank you.
And again, when staff's reviewing, just looking at it from a resource standpoint or road closures or whatever type resources may be needed. So we've got a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. So Jan, here's the second one's coming in. Consideration of request of city-sponsored event status for beach rugby tournament on the beach on October 22nd, 2022 to raise funds for the rugby programs at Lucy Beckham, Bishop England, and James Island High Schools. Again, a small, low-impact event, very little or to no resource, no road closures. Again, staff has reviewed and is recommending approval.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Where on the
Where-
beach?
We would be on Front Beach. They're proposing to, mark an area about 40 yards by 30. To have the beach rugby, tournament. It's a non-contact event.
Rugby?
Non-contact rugby?
Demo.
Their proposal says touch rugby is a non-contact form of the game that is very fast-paced and apparently very
Certainly a
exciting. They are, this event would be fundraising for the purchase of rugby balls, equipment, jerseys for the new teams in the Charleston area for those three schools, Woodsie, Beckham, Bishop England, and James Island. All participants will be signing a liability waiver, and they are all events that are city-sponsored event approved have to provide the city with a certificate of insurance and name the city as an additional insured. I don't know if I've said that before, but we have new members of council, but that's a requirement the city has. So they would include some sports liability insurance coverage for the event as well.
Okay, and that goes for the last one too that we just approved.
Every city-sponsored event, they're
Okay.
required to provide that documentation.
Will they need anyone to keep it, keep their space free of somebody trying to put their umbrella in the middle of, like, are they gonna do it all by themselves or are they asking for any city?
They're not asking
Assistance.
for any resources, we would not have any additional staff to patrol the area, it's October, so you have beach activities. Less than in the summer, therefore, these type of events are just flowing back for us and then on the beach. And don't anticipate any issues.
I was like, "Oh,
Full disclosure, I am a Bishop England graduate, so
so you're gonna play?
Good question.
it won't affect my vote.
Other comments, questions? All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Thank you. Next item C, discussion and consideration of bids for the construction of the ADA Beach Boardwalk at 34A Beach Access Path. You see the bid results in your package. Staff's recommending going with the IPW Construction Group. Just by way of, from a financial standpoint, we have a grant for about $120,000 for this particular project, and we also have budgeted for beach access paths about $250,000, so should be covered from a budget plus a grant number. So if we can have a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second,
Is there any other comments or questions on the matter?
This project involves
Thank you.
My understanding is this is way higher than what would anticipated, like double. Is that accurate?
Our budget had been 150,000 and those were using old numbers of what we paid when we did 21st Avenue. We hadn't did a similar project in quite a while, so it's just.
Is there, well, I did also understand though that there's some options that could reduce the price, different decking or something. And I don't know what the pros and cons of those different decking is, but why would you not choose that? What's the reasoning behind not going with the lower cost decking?
All of our boardwalks are eBay and they do withstand time. And then we would be hesitant to changing and having a lower quality material, just, because we have the budgeted funds to account for the remaining difference from the grant that we're receiving from Greenbelt. We don't think that the difference is going to be that substantial, and in the long run, having a prepaid decking, making it a prepaid, just because of how the other ones have lived through, many years without a whole lot of work needed from us, we would definitely prefer that.
Do we know what the cost difference is?
We do think, it would be significantly less, maybe 100,000 less, to do time. But we have found with
these public beach accesses, you know, and they're pulling equipment. And it's obviously sand. It's about as harsh an environment as we can put them through. And we have historically gotten 10 years or so out of pine. These we think we'll get, we have one that's almost 20 years old. So we think we get kind of 5 times the life out of Epay, just because it is such, I mean, it's literally like concrete. We actually, we're doing concrete up as far as we can, just for durability.
Yeah.
So we do think kind of over the life of the project, it will be less expensive to do Epay. But it would be probably about $100,000 less to do.
We have, in the message I sent you all about, us reaching out to Charleston County to see whether or not the grant amount could be increased based on the matching, based on the bids that we received. They indicated that we would need to withdraw our grant and then reapply for the new amount. That means that we would not be, this would be another year for that process to play out. So that would not be quick enough, I guess. Maybe for this council, but that would delay the project another year and a half. We don't know what the numbers, the cost are going to be at that time. The other option that we have is moving forward and then submitting for reimbursement through the next cycle. We have about $100,000 left in the Greenville program fund that could be allocated for IoT projects. You know, we're thinking about submitting for additional footbridges for next year. So I think we can make up that difference either way, either applying for reimbursement for this specific project or just applying for other projects that we have scheduled in our.
So the footbridges aren't this, they wouldn't be this extensive.
No,
Okay, they'd be significantly, and would they be pine or have we decided
we haven't decided,
Okay.
but I would.
But nowhere near the cost of this?
And Desiree, if you withdrew, I mean, we know we have 120,000 committed from the grant. If we withdrew and started over that, and we're back to zero, we don't know what we would get, right? Yeah, I would prefer to apply for reimbursement. Scott, sorry. go
Yeah, I
ahead.
just had a question. It may be in the packet. Were these fixed bids?
Yes.
The two bids were very close. We got two, they were very close. We felt like they were well vetted, competitive.
How long are they? I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor. How long are the bids good for?
Pretty quick. I know, you know, the price of lumber fluctuates quickly, so I think it's 30 minutes.
Thanks.
If this is approved, we would issue a note, we would execute a contract, issue a notice to proceed for construction different than in the winter.
Having construction in the winter.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they're ready to go.
It depends on when we issue the notice to proceed.
No, but the people who put in the bids are ready to go.
They knew that the expectation would be that it would be completed before the season.
Completely permitted. I mean, everything's ready to go, just waiting on the contractor being able to make it happen.
The only thing is the encroachment permit from DOT on the part.
Okay.
The two ADA. Gotcha.
And that's 2 ADA compliant parking spots that we're looking at. Okay, thank you.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And D, consideration of recommendation from the ATAX committee to award $1,000 grant to Carolina Surf Club for the Surf Cam webpage. This has been done for quite a number of years. So if there's a motion for approval,
Motion to approve.
Second.
questions, Desiree, anything to add? to that?
What is this exactly? It's a webcam that they're going to install?
It's in.
It is
Oh,
installed, and in that webcam, they have links to the city's webpage where we have beach rules, parking rules. So I think it does serve to expand the audience that looks at our website and understands what they need to be aware of before they come back.
And again, been out there for I don't know how many years, but quite a number that I think ATAX is.
Quite an extensive application.
Yes,
They have a lot of history.
a lot of financial.
For $1,000, they never read their.
All right.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item E, consideration of mutual aid agreement between IOP PD and Charleston County Aviation Authority Police Department. Desiree or Chief, anybody want to? Any background or additional comments?
Good evening. I'll keep it really brief. This is a standard mutual aid agreement that we enter into with other law enforcement agencies due to a recent event when we were planning for personnel to assist us over the last few weeks. We realized that when we were reaching out to the airport police department that we do not have a mutual aid agreement with them, and this is just going to solidify that and lock that in place like we have with all of the other agencies in the area.
Motion for approval.
So move. Second.
Second.
Any other questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item F, consideration of grant match of 29,000 for permitting costs for piping 41st Avenue drainage outfall. City submitted a grant amendment for an additional 729,100 for the construction as part of the mitigation infrastructure funded project. You may recall, we had already approved 17,500 for this permitting cost. And so this is really an additional 12,000 rough numbers. This 29,000 is no greater than 29,000 is what we're planning to spend. So we've already approved 17,500. So this request is really for an additional 12. We can have a motion.
Motion to
So
approve.
Thank you.
Seconded.
Desiree, anything to add?
Yes, we've submitted all the paperwork and the revised cost estimate and design, conceptual design to the South Carolina Office of Resiliency. As you'll know, they've already granted the city $1.4 million for construction of the 41st Avenue outfall. This would be an additional $730,000 to pipe it and 41st Avenue. Our match would only be the 29, up to 20, no, not exceeding $29,000 for additional permitting. They have conceptually approved it at staff level. The staff of the Office of Resiliency is presenting it to the board tomorrow morning. So we would be notifying them about the city's commitment for that match. And they would be including in their presentation to the board. We should know in about a week or so, their final decision on this amount, which would mean the complete project is completed by these grant funds.
John?
Just for clarity, this would end at 41st. So as basically the interest into the marina, it wouldn't go to the water, to the intercoastal.
That's correct.
Is there a possibility to extend that to the intercoastal so you can even get additional area there?
If we can, we certainly can. We cannot include it in this grant application, but that's something that the city could work through with our engineers. We're ready for construction to get it permitted all the way to the outfall. It's certainly a possibility.
So it's a separate distinct project from this one.
Right.
Okay.
We think based on the estimates, we think that the extension from where it ends today, which if y'all have been there recently, you see where the dumpsters are located. It's roughly around that area. So with this roughly $800,000 project includes piping from the intersection of Waterway to that point.
That's what I thought.
800,000. So I think it's an additional maybe 200 feet. If you kind of look at the budget, you're talking about an additional $400,000 to pipe that last section.
I have a question about how it's going to be finished. Will the pipe be covered with soil or other material?
Yes.
Yes,
Okay. And so we can use it for parking in the future.
yes, ma'am.
That's good.
Other questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Item G, consideration of approving 20% local match commitment as part of the city's grant application for the South Carolina Infrastructure Investment Program and RIA grant funds. for infrastructure improvements at Sixth and Seventh Avenue and on Charleston Boulevard between Second and Fourth Avenue. These are top priority drainage projects coming out of the master plan. So again, this is a 20% commitment of about a $6.8 million project. So pretty decent return on our funds, if we can get these type of grant money. So motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Second,
Yeah, just a little discussion on this. This is the one I think that was presented at the workshop, and have we, I don't know what kind of review we've done on the, that area of the flooding, but I do live right near there. I'm just still a little baffled because I just have not seen like a incredibly bad level of flooding. I may be missing it, but I'm out in that area almost every day. And it looks like we're about ready to embark on a fairly expensive drainage project. And I just don't know what kind of statistics or what kind of drainage, and if anybody else has, traverses that area frequently, please chime in, but I just don't know what we're basing spending all this money on.
I mean, it's coming out of the master plans. I don't know, Douglas, you want to?
And I think this was the one Davis and Floyd did the studies on.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
it was identified through their modeling as, not gonna be a problem with kind of nuisance rainstorm type events, because that's infiltrating into the sand. But there is no system, there's a bowl there and there's no system to get the water out. So it would be, these major events and we have had,
So it's like for a Joaquin kind of thing, or?
yes, yeah.
Because other than
Joaquin-
that, I just haven't, I'm running on those roads every day
Yeah,
in
there
the
was,
rain.
there was a time, there was a several year period where that area was getting inundated pretty frequently. Probably happened 3-4 times in a row. And you'll notice the house at close to the corner of Fifth, close to the corner of Sixth, in the 500 block, where they put up a series of retaining walls to hold the water back because they were getting water. And at that time, they were getting water every time it had significant rain. It was getting into their house. So it's
I'm
it's
familiar with
bad.
that.
It has been bad. We luckily have not had those level of storms for a few years, so we haven't seen it. And you're right, it wouldn't address or there's not really a need based on nuisance.
Yeah, I
kind of
mean, the last
daily-
5 years, I have not seen, it usually saturates within a matter of hours, if not a day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is for those bigger events, and it would provide the capacity to be sure water's not getting into houses in those blocks.
Again, we just haven't, I guess, haven't had an event in the 5 years.
Right.
really
That's right.
Close, but yeah. Jan, go ahead.
I'd just like to say, I think this is part of the program I'd like to see to improve drainage all over the island. And I think the modeling probably is something good to go with. Our drainage problems are only going to get worse with the future with rising sea levels. So this is a step in the right direction. And like, as you mentioned, Mr. Mayor, the bang for our buck goes far. And the process is sort of interesting. We're basically building a large cistern under the dunes on the beach and holding the water there to drain as it would otherwise in your yards. So it's pretty innovative and ecologically sound as well.
So one more question, what's the 20%? How much would that be?
In your packet,
1.3.
no,
No.
800, it's 800.
I thought it was less than that, yeah.
800,000. This total local investment dollars is 1.34 million.
Yeah, but that includes 500,000 from RA. I'm just taking out my calculator. Give me a second. It's 157,422 plus 683, 578.
841.
So our portion's 841, is that what you said? Doug?
For a six and a
For a
half
20%.
$1 million project.
Yep. Okay,
So-
thank you.
This area was this area, this is like the first of one of these type projects that we've done. Is that, I mean,
It's the first one out of the master plan.
right.
that's been
Is
going
there a
on.
reason why they started, are they just starting at the south end and moving north, or is there a reason for starting with this one?
It was just based on the modeling, prioritizing the locations that are low, that don't have any infrastructure, drainage infrastructure currently. It would be much more expensive to install piping all the way and getting that water off on the intercoastal, which is what we have on the other end of the island. So they thought that this was an innovative way and essentially lower cost to traditional drainage infrastructure that we see in other places up the island.
So the idea is this will address the hot spots and the lesser storms, but then mitigate it for the larger storms. So
Right, just add a couple comments. So there is an additional project at Second. You don't like me? There's an additional project at Second that this would also take care of, Second and Charleston.
that place floods.
And so that would also be dealt with. And then they have a lot of suggestions on the system that flows out of Fourth through the back of kind of Merritt Boulevard, and there's some low areas there. But we think that we can deal with those through maintenance and kind of very small projects. So really, at the end of their project, I think they are going to have a lot of suggestions about maintenance and kind of getting smaller projects done to link pieces. But it's our opinion that their master plan is going to have these big projects, and then the rest of it's going to be very small, kind of ongoing
Small but
maintenance.
high impact.
Yeah, kind of maintenance level of projects. So the good news is, I think we finish what we're doing on the back of Waterway. We do these few bigger ones on this end. And I think Davis and Floyd's anticipating that really taking care of the big problems on the island and just modifying how we work going forward to avoid the problems in the future. So I think this is kind of it.
Yeah, because this will really be phase 5 and 6, I guess. So,
Right.
We've done all the avenues and these 3 outfall projects that are currently in some process of going. So
We see it as kind of a light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah.
Get
So-
through
That's
these and we think we'll be in
At
good
the end
shape.
of the pipe.
So they're not, so they're not planning to do anything like this to the Save Forest Trail area? Or the 28, I mean, those areas that
Boulevard?
flood every single time it rains? Is that
No,
not,
well, no, they're not. I mean, that area, the Forest Trail area was really studied by Thomas and Hutton. And that's been the area of focus for 2 years ago. They did upgrading, so that probably, if that's kind of on the hit list of the next projects, that would have to be looked at separately. But really, Thomas and Hutton did the modeling and analysis of those basins in the Forest Trail area. And so Davis and Floyd's not even looking at the modeling in those sections. They're just looking at our maintenance, kind of scheduling, how we're doing maintenance for the whole island, which would address some of those issues. But in terms of modeling, there is not a plan to do anything there.
it was my understanding that they were supposed to be having some sort of system where they were gonna be even asking citizens for comments and, boots on the ground type of analysis to determine like the next places. Is that not?
That is for they are doing pilot programs on some, but not in the Forest Trail area. They are looking at issues in their area of study, but not in Forest Trail.
Mr. Mayor, I think we should probably put drainage master plan on our workshop schedule to have us brought up to speed on what's been done and where we're going on this, so we can act more than in just a case by case basis, know what's been
When
planned.
Desiree does an update, we can certainly do a deeper dive every month, but
Yeah.
yeah, that's easy to
I
be done.
definitely think I have questions too about the priorities. I think the projects that are being brought are valid, but how do they fit into the grand scheme of things?
Yeah, we can ask Davis and Floyd
Yeah.
to come at your next workshop, kind of give, I know they did that maybe a couple months ago. Just give an update where we are, answer these type of questions to make sure that.
Okay. And is there
expectations are-
background reading we can use for that too?
If there is, we could certainly share that.
Yeah,
ahead of the
I'm
meeting.
sorry to interrupt, but they provided quite a bit of information to the planning commission when
Mhm.
they first went into this. It was a lot of really good and useful
Starting,
information.
starting the master plan.
Yeah.
Scott, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Katie, through there.
No, they can.
Other questions, Katie, I don't know if you.
No.
So just for background, this grant application is being submitted by to the Rural Infrastructure Authority, who is managing this huge bucket of money from the federal government for stormwater drainage projects and water and sewer projects. That deadline is September 12th. We should know in a few months whether our project has been selected. If there is money left over from that first round, there'll be another grant process in next spring. So if we're not granted money this go round, we can go back and reapply for the spring round in 2023.
We should get our lobbyists to see if they can help
Yeah.
push that through.
Yeah, Jim.
So just one final thing then. So we should be applying for a large project with this funding because there is so much money available through this. Is that why we're getting?
Yes,
this
we're
larger one?
applying for 3 projects.
Okay, thanks.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item 7, boards and commissions report. Board of Zoning Appeals, no meeting in August. Planning Commission minutes are attached. Accommodations Tax Advisory Committee actually met earlier this afternoon. Environmental Advisory Committee minutes are attached. Item 8, ordinances, resolutions, and petitions. Second reading, none. First reading, ordinance 2022-07. An ordinance to adopt chapter 1 of the International Fire Code. We had Chief give us a conversation on this in the workshop. Desiree, I don't know if there's anything to update or add at this point. You've got a draft in your packet. We need a motion and a second.
Motion to approve.
Questions, Chief or Desiree, anything to add?
No, sir.
Question, any other questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Resolutions and petitions, resolution 2022-07. A resolution to adopt the FEMA approved 2019 Charleston Regional Hazard Mitigation Plan and Program for Public Information Plan by the city of Isle of Palms. And this is an ongoing event that we have to adopt a resolution for this particular item. So we can have a motion.
So move.
Second.
Desiree, anything to add on this as well or not?
This is just for us to be compliant with FEMA regulations. We ask council to adopt this resolution every year. We update that information as appropriate.
Did they write this or did we wrote the resolution?
It's the same one we've used
I
every
was just
year.
curious
So.
as What man-made hazard events or we're creating hazard events, we should stop.
They wrote.
They were.
Quit regrading your yard.
Other questions, comments?
Well, this is one of those you hope you never need, but
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Last item, executive session pursuant to South Carolina Code 30-4-70A2 to receive legal advice related to potential claims concerning alterations to Isle of Palms zoning districts.
motion to go into executive session.
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Off record at 6:49.